Hey guys, hopefully all of you are having a fantastic day or night whenever you click on this video. I wanted to kind of share the sights with all of you. The sun is shining, the sky is blue, it's a beautiful day, it isn't that cold, it's not raining. So I was like, you know what, I want to take you guys on outside with me and let's talk about some news that isn't necessarily good news, but still needs to be talked about nonetheless. Now I know the blue sky might upset a few people that don't like My Hero Academia because obviously the blue sky is a huge part of why people don't like the anime. Okay, jokes aside, that was a low blow. Let's actually talk about, what's going on. So, I think anyone that has been keeping up to date with, let's say, anime-related news and all the continuous anime delays that we have been getting has probably come to the realization that something is fundamentally wrong. Like, you don't necessarily need to be a part of these production teams, you don't necessarily need to be an animator, you don't need to really know the inside scoop, you don't need to know the inner workings of, let's say, Aniplex, Kadokawa, and all these other different producers and studios, that something is fundamentally going on. Something very bad is going on under the hood, and you don't need to be a rocket scientist to actually see this, because fundamentally, when you really think about just these continuous swarm of delays that we've been getting, it's off. It is. And here's the thing, okay? It's been a well-known fact for a very long time now that there is just too much anime. And what I mean by that is, a lot of these companies, Aniplex is a good example since they're kind of like the face of what's been going on with all these delays. You have it where these producers, these companies, they basically want a lot of anime pumped out at a given time. A lot of deadlines, a lot of crunching, and they just want a bunch just continuously shoved out in a given year. And because of that, obviously, animators in these different studios, like, let's say, A1 Pictures or JC Staff, whatever type of studio you want to throw out there, they're not able to keep up with demand. They're barely able to keep up with demand sometimes. And it's clear that thanks to what's been going on internally, it's leading to a fundamental breakdown slash meltdown of a lot of these big name companies and studios of not being able to actually complete an episode in time. A good example of this, just to name a few series just in this past week that has been delayed, potentially indefinitely or just delayed for a extended period of time, Bofuri Season 2. We have, Boruto potentially getting delayed in March and April. We have the we have the Black Clover movie getting delayed. We also have the stuff with Spy Classroom getting delayed. We have Soul Leveling getting delayed. And this is just the series just from this week. It's been back-to-back delays. I mean, Misfit of Demon King Academy's delayed. And obviously, it's just like, whoa, what is going on here? And obviously, Aniplex is definitely associated with a lot of these anime, a lot of these titles, and it's very clear, as I've been saying in my previous videos, that they are known for wanting to just churn out anime and get it out as quickly as possible. 86 is a very good example because it's so relevant of how that series was handled in the first place. But another recent example is, like, let's say, Uncle Asekai, Uncle from Another World, and how that's handled, and we're still waiting for the final episode. It's been announced it's coming, but we're still waiting for it, which just says enough about Uncle Asekai and how that situation has been handled as well. And we've also seen some series from, let's say, Kadokawa that, have also been indefinitely delayed or delayed for an extended period of time. And so it's clear it's not necessarily just a Aniplex problem. So we need to ask ourselves, what is going on? What is actually happening here? Why are these series getting delayed? Well, if we go into the actual reason for why all these anime are being delayed, it stems down to COVID-19. All these studios that make their official announcements on social media say that they have to delay the anime because of COVID-19 related reasons. Now, fundamentally, I think we can all agree that to some extent, this is probably true. However, back in, let's say, 2020, when COVID was at its highest peak in terms of just everything going on in the world, the whole world basically shut down, it's very clear that anime wasn't as affected, so to speak, as what we're seeing here, like all these delays, so to speak. And so it's like, what is going on? Why is this different after all these years? We're in 2023 now, not 2020. Why are all these delays happening now? Well, we have to look at something that's been going on behind the scenes. In China, there is a lot of outsourcing. Like, all these Japanese companies, like A1 Pictures, JC Staff, etc., just throwing out names there, they outsource a lot of their stuff to China. And China's been obviously going through stuff with COVID, they're having a wave or whatever's going on over there, which is resulting in animators not being able to animate. Now, this still doesn't negate the issue at hand, that it's very clear that Japan's overall production and system has fundamentally broke down just because another country can't be freelancers for them. It kind of just shouts out the fact that they're pumping out too much anime in a small given amount of time and not allowing animators to really catch up. That is what it definitely shows, at least from that. And so fundamentally, it's multiple things. It is COVID-19 related, but it's also crunch time, deadlines, and just not having probably enough animators even in Japan to work on these projects. Like, let's do an example here. If you are unaware of this, a lot of anime that is, let's say, made and comes out, like, good example here, let's think of Nier. It's a really good recent example. Nier obviously got delayed episode 4 onward. It came back today, but episode 4 got delayed for a while, for weeks now. And the thing about that is a lot of people don't know, when anime is, like, let's say, airing, like, when it comes out, it's still being worked on. Like to give an example, if episode 1 of Nier Automata, when it came out, they're still working on probably episode 3, episode 4. They're not working on, let's say, episode 12, or they're not sitting back in their chairs and saying, job well done, we've already finished it. That's not how anime actually works. A bunch of anime that come out, they're still being worked on, but most of all the anime that comes out is just basically still getting worked on. So it's not finished, and so if something goes wrong in the pipeline, you get a delay, and that's obviously what's been happening. So everything that's going on here is just systematically breaking down, so to speak, in the anime production environment. It's a full meltdown, at least of, let's say, Aniplex's projects to some of Kadokawa's. It's not good. Like, just to point it out, it is not a good situation. So what theoretically could be done to correct this situation? If I had to throw out my very uninformed opinion, I guess, because I'm not knowledgeable of every little detail, I'm not going to act like I am, but what could be something that seems easy? Well, stop making so many projects at once. Anime is obviously a growing industry. It's become way more mainstream, it's very lucrative, has a lot of money to be gained in it. And a lot of these companies, even in the West, have started to realize this. Like Disney, for example, they've started to realize that anime is making waves. It's making a lot of money. And so, because of that, there is more and more people from other countries and these other businesses that want to make money, and they're trying to dabble into that anime pie, so to speak, and get more out of it for their own selective platforms. And so, more and more anime is continuously ramping up and needing to be made at a given point in time. If you go back 10 years, 15 years ago for anime, okay? If we go back to the origin, or not really the origin of anime, but just back 10, 15 years ago, and you look at what was necessarily released around that time, there wasn't nearly as many anime released at all 10 to 15 years ago as now we have for each individual season. Now, with anime seasons, man, if you get 30 to 40 anime, that's the norm. It's literally a norm. And not counting, let's say, OVAs, not counting shorts, TV specials. There is so much anime that is continuously dumped out every single anime season. It is way more than how it was in the past. In the past, 15 maybe, 20 maybe, if you're really lucky, used to come out in a given time in the past. Anime obviously has doubled in terms of just how many people are pumping out these different shows. And so, clearly, the demand has increased for anime, but the overall workforce and people that are working on this anime has not. And in fact, probably dwindling to a certain extent because of what's clearly going on right here. I mean, we've seen the stories of animators not getting paid. We've seen the stories of animators sleeping at their desk and even literally dying at their desk, or just having like a heart attack, so to speak. So because of all of this, we know for a fact that it is a very dangerous job. It is a job that obviously isn't making the most money for a lot of people there, and because of that, there's probably not a lot of people that really do want to be animators. So it's an interesting time period, honestly, and I think one of the big ways to probably correct this, truthfully, is to stop picking up so many projects. Will that happen, though? No, it will not. And the reason for that is because, as I already said, demand is high for anime. It's mainstream. All these companies know it, and because of that, it's not going to slow. So the only way something's going to change is something literally breaks down to the very core where just anime ceases, which I don't think it necessarily ever will fully do, but it's very clear we're starting to see just straight breakdowns of just production, at least from this anime season and the next and probably going forward, because this is going to have a wave effect of multiple series just getting delayed continuously just to catch back up to crunch time / deadlines. So only time will tell to see where it's going to go. But I wanted to talk about this topic because it's fascinating, honestly, even though it's not necessarily the best of news, so to speak. It is a fascinating topic because it does need to be talked about. These delays aren't normal, and anyone that has even been watching anime since, let's say, 2020 can agree that it's not normal to see just all these delays for all these different shows back to back, even if they're, let's say, not even the same studio. It's like, what's going on here? So yeah, I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching, though. May you all have a fantastic day or night wherever you live. Be safe, stay healthy, and Chibi out.